Hey there, welcome back. Get ready to start playing. So I'm going to say something real quick. The software that I use, I'm using a wireless camera. So I'm not connected to my computer. And I do notice from time to time that the sound will stutter. And that's of course because the processing of the computer and the whatever wireless technology it's using. So please give me feedback if the stuttering gets really bad, because I can switch to a wired system. It's just that when it's wired, I can't move my camera. I don't have as much freedom of movement and range as I used to. I also have the ability to maybe do the audio through like I can wear a headset and do audio through that. And then the camera can still be, because I think the video quality of the Wi-Fi is fantastic. It's the sound that I'm concerned about. So please let me know. All right, so we said we were going to get started here. And some of the things that you need to do is for every character that's going to be in your party, you need to have a set of action tokens, and they look like this. So you're going to need to have those handy. You're also going to want to have like a sword 1, 2. This is just to designate, this is character number 1, this is character number 2, and this is for enemy targeting. So let's say that I start with a party of 4 people. You're going to make a bag filled with these targeting tokens, and they're going to look like this. And you're going to put in the bag however many characters you have. So in the playthrough that I just recently did, I had 5 characters in my party, so it went all the way up from 1 to 5. If I only have 4 people in my party, I have to take out all the 5s. And there's enough tokens in here to have 6 people in your party. So you can see here all of the player 6 stuff is off on the side. And it won't be used for this game. Now, that bag, let me show you here. This is called the target bag, but then you have the extra attack bag. So see this, it just looks like a spear. That's an extra attack, and you can see they're real easy to tell the difference. One's a silhouette, and then one's, here I can do this side here. See, it's the silhouette versus the spear. And then when they both act, and of course I drop it, they look like this. Okay? So this is going into one cup, and then these go into another cup. And it'll make sense as you go, but make sure you separate it into the 2 cups. So here's the other cup, and you can see it's all the spears. And so we're going to have both of these bags ready and just set aside. Right now it's set up for 5 characters, but I haven't chosen what characters I'm going to use yet. I'm going to show you how to do that process right now. And that, of course, could change things. I'm just letting you know well in advance to be ready. Okay, so what else do we need to do? We need to make sure that all of your cards, like your mundane gear, stuff like that, are sorted and within reach. And of course, some of my stuff is not within reach, so I'm leaning across the table here. So we're going to form a party. And I'm going to show you what I did in my last campaign. I had this guy here, Bogan, the Halfling Thief. And he is an SH type character, meaning that he's a character in a box. So everything he does, all of his attacks, all of his equipment are listed right here. And he came with this Apprentice 2 skill, which is the thing that I really took advantage of. The Apprentice skill, Apprentice 2, is if you're in the same location as your liege, when they pay to enter a different location, you just gain some money or luck. So the copper was really important because that means every location you move to, you gain a copper. You move to 4 locations, you just gained a gold. That's very powerful. And it does cost you 1 gold to get the liege. The liege keyword means that you need to have 2 of the same class. So what I did was I had, Lightfoot, the Halfling Thief, and you can see he's level 5 now. And we're not done with our playthrough. These are legit real characters that I'm using in my current playthrough with my buddy. And so I had to pay 1 gold to give him Liege. And then Bogan over here came with the follower keyword, and he got Apprentice 2. He started with Apprentice 1, but then it moved up to Apprentice 2. And Apprentice 2 gets him money. And then here's the thing. When he levels up even more, he goes to Apprentice 3, and look, there's a typo. DVG didn't fix it. So, you go up to Apprentice 3, this is supposed to say something other than 1 copper. I don't know if it's supposed to say 1 silver. Nobody knows. I asked DVG and they haven't answered either. It's a completely unknown thing, but this is clearly a bug. Apprentice 3 has a typo. We just don't know what, should it be 2 copper? Well, 2 copper is 1 silver, actually, if you think about it. So I actually think it should be 1 silver. So, but I'm not planning to do that in this playthrough. If anything, I just want to try something different. But I wanted to show you, it's a really cool strategy where you take 2 rogues, or thieves, or whatever you want to call them, and it's a nice way to make money. And making money is how you get gear and level up. So I'm actually, by not making this money, it's actually going to be harder on our party. But as you can see, let's see, with this guy being level 1, he cost 11, and this only costs 3. If you think, look, he's 2nd level. When he was 1st level, he only cost 2. So he was a real cheap to pick him up. I had to pay a gold to get the Liege keyword, and then I had to pay another gold to level him up so he had Apprentice 2 instead of Apprentice 1. Actually, maybe we should still do this. I mean, this is a fantastic, really cheap way to make some money. And like I said, you have to move 4 locations to make a gold back. The Liege costs 1 gold. To get him to the level where he has Apprentice 2, that's 3 more gold. So that's 4 gold you're spending. And so you would have to move 12 locations in order to break even. So there's some math here you got to go through, right? So it takes 12 locations to break even. But if you're doing a whole campaign, 12 locations is a pretty easy thing to do. That's basically 3 missions, maybe 3.5. So you will eventually break even. And then after you do 3.5 missions, you're just making profit over and over and over again. So it's a really cool synergy. I highly recommend it. The Apprentice 2 skill is definitely something you should consider. So like I said, I want to try something different, but I will tell you it's super duper powerful. Also, speaking of characters in a box, we have this Cleric here, Rika, who has Odin. I highly recommend her as well. And in fact, we may still end up using her before all is said and done. I was very pleased with Rika as a Cleric. I know one of my viewers said she was hoping that Clerics would be a little bit more than just a support character. And of course, how do I use Rika? As only a support character. So I hear you, Wombat Girl. We're going to try to do something different. And so, but I can tell you that as a support character, she's awesome. So I'm going to set all that stuff aside now, because as much as I reminisce about my current playthrough, which is going swimmingly, I think that's why I'm like levelingly referring to these characters, because they're doing fantastic. My buddy has that archer I was talking about in that last one. He's not doing fantastic, but his wizard is, though. And so we're gonna get into a lot of stuff here, because there's a lot going on. And gosh, I to narrow this is analysis paralysis to the max. I will tell you that right now. And if you're hoping to see me actually fight a monster in this particular video, the answer is probably not. I'm going to probably spend this whole video on creating the party and all the decisions that go into it. It's pretty massive. And I apologize, because some of you are being really patient and you're like, Jeff, we know how to do this part. We want to get to the part where you're getting into the game mechanics. And I promise you I'm going to get there. I have all day today to play. So I'm going to record for as long as my battery will allow me. So I don't edit my videos, so sometimes you'll hear me ramble, and I apologize for that. But it also means you're going to get it fast. I don't spend a whole week creating videos and editing them. So I'm going to crank these out fast, fast, fast. And some of you have been looking for how to play. You're going to get your relief. I apologize if this part's a little dull and slow for you. I actually think this is the most fun part of the game, the selection of the characters. But let's, stop rambling and just dive right in. Okay, so I mentioned to you that there's 6 basic character types. There is the Cleric. So I'm going to just go ahead and sort these, right? So we got the Cleric. We have a Wizard here, which I'm going to set aside. And then another Wizard. And then we have a Fighter. And we have a Thief. So I'm just severing out all the characters because we're going to need it. And then we also have, now those are the basic 4 right here. We also have battle mages. So I have Lanalar and Akil, and I'm going to just set those way up here. And we also have paladins. So Joanna is, actually that's a badass looking paladin right there. And then we have Squire Nathaniel. So this is, again, this is getting into the liege follower concept. You know how I showed you the one for the rogue? So Joanna is a paladin, and she can take the liege skill, and then you have a follower in Nathaniel, so he can follow her around, and he possibly has some powers as well. So we'll get into that in a second. And there's a whole bunch more heroes. Now, I did take out the archer, fighter, and the wizard that I showed you in the last video, because that's what my buddy's using, and I wanted to save his cards. So we don't have those available to us. They were both, like I said, decent. I don't care for the archer that much, but so here we got another fighter. Now, Dwarven Fighter is expansion pack, but they still behave like a fighter in any other way. And then we have another thief and another wizard. And again, I apologize. I probably should have sorted these before I hit go. Actually, in fact, I'm going to pause so you don't have to watch me do all this. And I don't know what's going on here. My apologies. Here we go. Okay, I am back. I got everything sorted. Let's go through the classes real quick, and we'll talk about how they can be beneficial, why you must have one, things like that. So let's start with the expansion classes, because we're not going to use them in this game. The first one is the Battle Mage. The Battle Mage is a hybrid of a fighter and a wizard. The reason you would want to use this is they have explosive spells just like a wizard does, and the explosive spells you're going to find are really powerful in this game. I mean, when you're fighting some really tough high hit point monsters, the explosive spells still do damage to them. They can do multiple damage to that type of monster. Or if you're fighting 10 different monsters, as long as they're on the same card, you can damage all of them as well. So the explosive spells are useful from start to finish. If you're familiar with Warfighter games, they're like the equivalent of a grenade. And of course, the grenade launchers were very powerful in that game as well. So the wizard does it. The battle mages do the same thing. The only thing I'll tell you, though, is that the focus, which is the ability to cast spells, is a lot lower. So with a wizard, you can get up to 10, 15 focus. With these guys, you're going to be lucky to get to 6. Well, here, and I can just show you. At level 6, this particular battle mage has only 3 focus. Now, that doesn't mean he can't cast spells. In fact, he can. It's just instead of spending focus, you got to spend something else, which could be experience points. It could be extra actions. So again, the battle mage if you wanted to, you know, not have a fighter in your party, this is a nice way to, you know, have a wizard and a fighter, you know, all hybrid up in one. I guess it works. Now, there's also a liege follower concept. So this guy here has the follower keyword, and he gives relief, whereas the liege would be this guy. The relief skill basically makes it so he can move for one less action point. And we haven't talked about how move works, but move is a big pain in the butt in this game, and him giving him extra movement points is actually not bad. It's not bad at all. I actually can see playing as these characters and doing really well. But for the purposes of this playthrough, many of you may not even own this expansion, so I don't want to, you know, highlight an expansion character if you don't even own one. Also, this type of character, like I said, would allow me to maybe skimp. Like I don't need to bring a wizard or a fighter along, because this would, you know, fulfill that role. So I'm going to go ahead and set him aside. I do think the Battle Mage is an interesting concept. The one I like even more is the Paladin. And again, you have the Paladin, and then you have the Squire. They don't even get shy about it. And the Squire has the bestow keyword if he's a follower. So if you have both of these together, what he does is he gives her divinity points. Now, divinity points is something that clerics and paladins have. And so there's going to be a particular god that they pray to, or, you know, they get their powers from. And you have to spend divinity points to use those skills. Divinity is something that you don't earn as you play. Well, you can earn it in very specific ways. But like, so if you're between missions, the wizard regains all of his focus. You know, everybody else regains all their skills and points. Whereas the clerics and the paladins don't regain their vitality. They do gain vitality, I'm sorry, I'm saying vitality. I meant to say divinity. They do gain it, but it depends on their divinity card. And so what this guy does is when she moves to a new location, he just gives her divinity points, which is, again, that's very powerful. And then him having a movement of 1 is also powerful. So I really like this character. I want to try it sometime. I actually want to try both of these together. I think they would be great. Now, this particular guy, his god is Ra, so you have to use Ra with him, whereas she can choose any particular deity. And we're going to do clerics next, so I'll explain how the deities work. But anyways, I'm in love with these. I think they actually are fantastic, but we're going to, for the same reasons, we're not going to use this because it is an expansion pack. And then they also give you a full-blown Paladin. So if you're not going to do the liege follower thing, this guy is straight up Paladin, and he comes with his own spells and armor. He's basically a Paladin in a box. So he's really good. He follows Kali, though. I can't help but think of Indiana Jones, you know, Kali, the Temple of Doom. But anyways, Kali is a really weird divinity, and we'll get into that right now because we're going to go into the clerics next. So why would you choose a paladin, by the way? They're a cross between a fighter and a cleric. And again, I think you can get away with... I honestly think you can create a battle mage and a paladin, a 2-character party, and just do a dungeon that way. And you don't need the cleric or the wizard. I mean, maybe you need a thief. I don't know. But you could probably ignore the fighter and ignore the cleric and ignore the wizard. I mean, technically you're still bringing 2 people, so you didn't, quote, ignore something. But you could probably do a 3-character party with them. Anyways, let's talk about the clerics. So the clerics, some of them, like Herka here, have a particular divinity power that they have allegiance to. And the reason that DVG does this is they come with a spell. And so that spell is from his spell cards. And let me show you real quick. We're going to start with Ra here. And so this is Ra the Creator. This is one of the divinities. So if you have 1 divinity power, you're going to start with 13 divinity points. And there are different powers that are available to you And you can see there's a heal spell called Sun Heal. There's a Wrath spell, which will let you put vulnerabilities on people. Minor heal. This is like a wizard spell called Fire Touch. So it has an explosion. It's just like a wizard would cast. You can summon cobras. And there's actually little cobra tokens. And I remember we were wondering, what the heck are these tokens for? In fact, I have them right here. So you can summon these little cobra tokens, right? So that's what this summon cobras thing is. So you would spend 6 divinity points and you would summon it, and you have to spend 1 experience point to keep it retained, which means round after round, and if you don't want the cobras to disappear. So it summons 2 cobras, and each of them has 1 action and 1 health, and if they roll a 4 or better, they cause a wound, and they have a penetration of 1. So those summons, I mean, it's pretty cool. And so I'm thinking Wombat Girl that, like, you may want to do Ra the Creator, and then it's not so bad, right? You got some summons you can bring. It's not too awful. And then you got like a flame weapon you can create, Light the Way. It has to do with torches, and you can bless people's attacks, etc. So Ra the Creator, not bad. The way you regain divinity points with Ra is after you perform an attack, you gain divinity equal to the vulns, they call it. It's the vulnerable tokens, and the hostile's vulnerable tokens. So whatever vulnerable tokens are on you and whatever's on the hostile, you add them all up, and that's how much divinity you gain when you do an attack. And you don't even have to hit with your attack. You just have to do an attack. You'll regain divinity that way. And then they automatically get a +1 to their die rolls when they're doing hand-to-hand attacks for every vulnerable that's on a hostile. So you can see Ra is very, you're manipulating the vulnerable tokens a lot with this one. The Bright Sun Blessing, basically once per hostile card and twice per adventure. So every time you go in for an adventure, you can do this 2 times. You're going to roll some dice, and if you roll a 5 or better, you're going to inflict a vulnerable, which of course is going to help you with this and help you with the other stuff. And you inflict a total of vulnerables based on successful rolls. So that's how Ra works. And Ra is, I think, pretty decent. I've never played Ra, but I don't see anything wrong with that. Now the next one is a little tougher. It is, if I can find it, oh yeah, Kali. Temple of Doom thing here. So Kali the Vengeful. Even looks like Temple of Doom. So they get initial divinity. When you eliminate a hostile, gain divinity equal to the hostile's printed health +1. And the only thing I don't know is it's when you. So I'm assuming you have to do the death blow, which is why I don't like this one. It's really hard to be the one that does the death blow. I mean, you have to like be very careful with when you attack and how you attack. But getting divinity equal to their health +1 could be a lot of divinity points. At the start of the adventure, you get to choose a bonus. You can gain 1 attack action at each location, or you can add 2 or 3 to your hand-to-hand attack rolls, or you can gain divinity at each location. And then, of course, the star is the number of divine powers you have. So, so you can gain, so if you have a 2 divine power, you can, I think this is -1, and then if you have 1 divine power, that becomes 0. And if you have 2 divine power, that becomes 1. So as you gain divine powers, this will finally become beneficial to you. And in this next one, you have to have 2 divine powers just to break even on this one. And you have to have 3 or more before you finally start adding to your hand-to-hand rolls. So it's not as great as you think. But this one here, you just gain divinity at each location. And as long as you have 1 divine power, you're going to just gain 1 divinity each location. That's not bad. Then that actually makes this better. And then they have their twice per adventure skill, which is a Blade Storm. It does penetration, and it's an explosion attack, which, like I told you, is really good. So Kali the Vengeful is a very attack-oriented deity, and you can see that they have a lot of, they still have heals, just like the other clerics do. They can raise rats, which is sort of like the cobras, and they can even raise an orc to fight for you, and etc. So that's Kelly the Vengeful. It's an interesting one. And then there is Odin the Wise. So he, after you finish an adventure, you gain divinity equal to the adventurer's hero points plus 2, which is a lot. Or it's not, I don't want to say it's a lot. It's a good number. Let's just put it that way. This, of course, is useless if you're just doing a single adventure. If you were doing a campaign, then Odin the Wise is really good. Then he has, you gain 2 divinity for each wound, so you don't have to kill a monster, you just have to hit him. And if you inflict a wound, you gain 2 divinity, and then you gain a +2/+1 to your hand-to-hand attack rolls while in an objective location. You just flat out get it. Unlike the Kali one, where you had to have a certain number of divine powers. And now that's only against the objective location, which is the final boss. And then twice per adventure, you can roll your dice and you literally will gain 1 action. And you get to assign it to any of the heroes in your party. So you roll 6 or better. For every 6 or better, you just get extra actions for your party. I really like Odin. So I'm going to highlight him for you and show you how to play with Odin. And he does have his summons right here. You can see there's some ravens you can summon. And they give all heroes in the adventure +2 to their attack versus flying hostiles. Let's see. Does he have summons that actually sit on the board and attack? I don't think he does. He has a Divine Storm, so he has an attack spell, a heal spell, action, blessing. A lot of these are this one removes vulns. But yeah, so this is his version of a summon spell. It doesn't actually summon creatures on the field, but it helps everybody else in the party. Okay, so why do you need a cleric? You need to heal. I hate to say this. I know one of the viewers was like, I want my cleric to not be so just a support role and nothing else. I'm not saying that you can't attack or you can't do things, but your primary role is to heal. And if you don't heal, it costs you a gold to heal when you go back to town. And a gold is a crap ton of money. So you definitely need to heal. So we're going to take a cleric. Now the question becomes, do we take a cleric as a player character, meaning that we're going to draw action cards, or do we just have it be a cleric in a box type character? And I think the answer to that depends on what the skills are. So there's skills like this that when you see this little silver here, it costs you 1 silver to keep this going. You cast it, and it adds +1/+1 to all of our rolls for this turn. And if you spend a silver, you can keep it going. It's extremely expensive. It's junk. I don't know what DVG was thinking with that one. That should be experience points, and then it wouldn't be so bad. Here, for armored mobility, you can reduce your total armor movement penalty by 1. You can pay experience points when suffering vulnerables from an evil, undead, or demon. It's very specific, not super helpful. You can discard a card to pay an action. So basically get a bonus action with that. It's the same skill that fighters have. And then this adds 3 to your loadout, adds to your movement, etc., etc. There's nothing in here that's super shocking. This one here would let you pay a cost for your action to attack. And then this is for your divine power rolls. You get to add +1. So like when you're trying to get extra actions, you can add 1 to your roll. Gain divinity when you eliminate a hostile card. So how much are you going to get is based on that. You do a die roll, etc. So up to 3 summons, spelled very horribly, that can move, may perform a move without spending an action. This is more helpful like when you're not Odin. Pay a total of 1 or 3 experience of retained costs for summoned powers. And then, of course, you can advance your melee skill. So if you want to be more than just a healer, you want to be a cleric that actually does damage, and I would recommend that you definitely take cleric as a player character because there's some skills in here that enhance your melee attacks, enhance some of your attack rolls. They're definitely worth it. But if you want a cleric to just keep your party from dying, you don't need it. And I'm sorry, Wombat Girl, but that's the truth. So, like I said, I've been using Rika here, who has been a fantastic support. She's a Dwarven cleric, but that's an expansion cleric. The one that comes with the base cape, also just as good, is Herka. So Herka, she comes with an old mace and the minor heal spell, and she'll also start the game with 1 experience point. And then as she levels up, she'll eventually get better armor. She actually gets some leather armor there. And then she doesn't have an old mace anymore. She actually has a regular mace. And then you can see she actually goes up to a flail. And then she gets Let There Be Light. And heal, take heart. And then intervention, all kinds of stuff, you know, at that level. But look at that. You need 29 gold to get her to that level. That's a ridiculous amount of gold. So she is definitely a good option. I think the reason why I picked this one is you get Stand Firm right away. And Stand Firm is a really good spell that prevents you from taking vulnerabilities. And you get it right here. You can see it in 3rd level. Yeah. It took her to 3rd level, which was only 12 points. And then we were able to get that spell. So I actually think Rika is a better cleric in a box. But if you had to take a human cleric, you only have one choice. It's this guy. He's the only one. So we had I just showed you 2 clerics in a box. This one is a cleric that doesn't use action cards, but you can still equip them and do other things. She costs more. She comes with 2 experience points, but beyond that, she's not any better. In fact, I think this one's crap. Let's go look at what she's like at level 6. So she'll have 5 divine powers and get you 8 experience points and have +1 and cost 30 points to get there. That is an extremely large number of points. Whereas that guy actually also costs 30. And man, it's making the other girl look cheap. See, it's 27 for the dwarf. So it's like it's really hard to ignore the cleric in the box. Because you have the 2 clerics in a box, and then you have a player cleric where you actually get cards, and then you have a, they call it a TH hero, where you don't actually have to manage the deck of cards, but you still have to equip them and do everything else. I just think this is absolute trash. She also comes with 0 movement points. And yeah, when she gets up there, I mean, you have to pay to equip her and all that stuff, like armor and everything. And if she costs just as much as the other guy to level up, you might as well get the cards. Because the cards are so powerful. And to have no cards at all you're getting is experience points. Nah, this is, you know, you can throw her in underneath the game box and never get her out, and you'll be happy. That is not good. As far as, so this is why actually the Paladin looks luscious, because these clerics are horrible. So what do I do? That's the next question. See, 34 minutes in. I literally only have 2 choices. It's do a full-blown player with a hand, or do a cleric in the box. I save 1 gold by going cleric in the box, and then also because she comes with her own equipment and all that stuff, I actually save a little bit more than just 1 gold, because with him I'd have to buy a mace. I'd have to, buy armor. The divine power of 1, I have to go buy that. So for example, the minor heal spell, which is usually what you start the game, which she starts the game with. Actually, no, I don't have to buy that. That's good. So you just gain 1 power, and you can just say, okay, I'm going to take minor heal. All right, I feel better about that. You just need to have 1 or more divine power to take this, so that's good. So I think, I'm sorry, Wombat Girl, but I think I'm going to go with Herka. This is just not worth, the juice is not worth the squeeze. Although, as far as characters go, this is a good one. And when you get up to maximum level, you get 4 divine powers, which means you have 4 spells you can bring with you, and you're drawing 4 cards at the beginning of every turn. So let's talk about this. Like, how do you read these? And I know some people were wondering maybe about that. So this is obviously their level. This is just some flavor text. That's their name and, you know, what race they are and what class. This symbol here is, again, race, because the humans have the crowns, and then the dwarves will have an anvil. So let's see there. And this is the cost to obtain them. This is the cost to level them up. And remember, it's not experience points. It's gold or RP, which are interchangeable. This is their movement points. So a 0 stinks. 0 is not good. You want it to be a 1 or better if you can. And it does eventually become a 1 for him, which is pretty cool. This one, I bet, is... Oh, no, she eventually gets 1 as well. The hand limit that you can have is always your health. And then it'll say +2. Don't let that fool you. Everybody gets 6 cards if they're at max health. So the moment that he goes up to 5 health, then the hand limit goes down to 1, +1. So you see that his hand limit stays at 6. And then here, he goes up to 6 health, and notice there's no plus hand limit at all. So don't let this fool you. It's just, DVG is just saying you get 6 cards, no matter how many health you have. It's a little bit ridiculous. As he loses health, your hand limit drops. So you can't go over, you can go over your hand limit during your turn, but by the end of your turn, you got to go back down to your hand limit. Okay? So, divine powers, of course, is how many of those spells you can have in your repertoire. And then, of course, he gets to choose, whereas she does not. She has to take minor heal, and that's all she gets. He can choose something that's more attacky if he wanted. The loadout is how much weight you can carry. So your mace is going to weigh a certain amount. Your armor is going to weigh a certain amount. The loadout being 5 is he can't go over the weight limit of 5. Okay? The HDH is when he does a hand-to-hand attack, does he get a bonus to his die roll? And the answer is no. And then this one with the half circle over it, that's his cover. So basically, if somebody tries to attack him and they have a penetration of 0, it wouldn't hurt him. He'll get a vulnerable, there's some other stuff that happens, but they have to overcome they have to have at least 1 penetration in their attack in order to hurt him. And a 1 penetration is not hard to achieve, by the way. So, and then as he levels up, he's going to start gaining experience points, which is like at the beginning of each adventure. And then here he gets 2 divine powers. And then here you can see he's going to draw cards at the beginning of every turn. That's what the CX is. He will draw 1 card at the beginning of every turn. And he'll have 3 divine powers, and then 4 divine powers. And then he finishes up like so. So there's nothing wrong with him. You can definitely, if you want to make a cleric-based party, you can choose Aaron. He's actually your only choice. So we're going to go with Herka. So there you go. There's 9 points right there. She comes with the old mace and the minor heal. So I'm going to set her over here to the side. And we have to grab this. This is all the old equipment. So there's old armor, old weapons. And we just got to find the old mace. And there it is. So this costs 1 gold and 3 copper to obtain. And it has a loadout of 3. So remember, we don't have to worry about loadout with her. Because she doesn't, she's a cleric in a box. But if you had Aaron, the guy we were just looking at, he has a loadout of 5. So that old mace takes up 3 of his 5 loadout points. You see how that works? So that mace is heavy. And this 1 gold and 3 copper is what I would have to spend on top of the 10 points to hire him. Whereas I got her for 9 points, and I get this for free with her. So you see that? I mean, 9 plus 1 is 10. But I'm only spending 9, so she actually only costs 8, and then, actually 7 and a copper. And I got this for free with her. I mean, there's these people in a box are actually pretty good deals. So, and then she also comes with minor heal, and she starts the game with 1 experience point. So I'm going to go ahead and put her over here. She has an old mace with her, and she gets this spell, minor heal, which we talked about. It's going to cost 3 divinity to do, and she is with Odin the Wise. So what we do, sorry, I'm cleaning up a few things here. So Odin the Wise says that she starts with 10 divinity. So we're going to go ahead. I have some divinity already over here. We're going to put her right here with the minor heal above her and the old mace next to her. And then we're just going to do 4, 8, 10. All this other divinity goes off to the side. And I need to make a note. Yeah. All right, I screwed that up. That was divinity that my previous character had in my campaign, and I just threw it in the box without counting it. So I'm just mentally calculating how much that would be. Okay, so very strong argument for why you would maybe want a Paladin. Because the clerics are just, there's not a lot of choices. The DVG really didn't give you much there. Okay, moving on. Next thing we're going to talk about is the rogue. Why do you want a thief? Well, there's certain rooms where there's traps, and the thief is the only one that has what's called the pick skill, so the ability to pick locks. And so for that reason alone, you always need one. I mean, I guess you could just live without one and just take the damage or whatever, but that's a very painful existence. There are 2 more thieves. So as you can see, there's 4 thieves here, but I have 2 more that I showed you that I was using in my game. And so DVG really loves their thieves because the clerics, there was only 3 total clerics in the game, and then you can see there's 6 total thieves in this game. So they like their thieves a lot more than their clerics. Okay, what do we do? The other things also have, let's just take a straight up one that doesn't have all the, this is not a thief in the box. So again, the gimmick of +2 hand size, ignore it because it just means they get 6 cards. The pick 8, how you read this is, if you have to pick a lock, you need to roll an 8 or better to actually successfully pick it. If you spend an experience point, you can then do what's in the brackets. Every time you see brackets, it means spend an experience point. And remember I told you experience points aren't used to level up your guys? They're not. They're used to do things to boost your skills. So at level 1, she can pick a lock with a dice value of 6 or better, and she's going to roll just 1 die, and she'll pick the lock with 6 or better if she spends an experience point. Otherwise, she needs an 8 or better. And then the shadows is, if the thief can go into the shadows, they might get bonuses by being, stealthy. So again, when they go into a location, they're going to roll. They need an 8 or better to go into stealth, or if they spend an experience point, they need a 6 or better. Now, it's not as bad as you might think in that situation, because I'm going to grab a card here. I'm just looking for it. That'll do it. So see this here, this blue symbol on the left? That gives a +3 to your ability to hide in the shadows. So every location is going to have a modifier here on the left. So in this case, it's a lot easier to hide in the shadows. You get a +3 to your die roll. So what does hiding in the shadows do for you? Well, that's where the weapons come in. So there are some weapons that are for thieves here, like this one, the dirk. So it costs 1 gold and 3 copper to purchase. Has a loadout value of 1. You just need a hand-to-hand of 0, which just means anybody can equip it. These are just keywords because some monsters have vulnerability to edge or pointed. But if you're in stealth, you get a +3 to your die roll. So what does that mean? Well, in order to hit the enemy, if you do a standard attack, you need to roll a 9 or better to hit. But if you're in stealth, that 9 becomes a 6. Now the +3 that's after the slash, that's for penetration. And that's what the P stands for. The penetration is 0. And you need a 1 or a better to penetrate the enemy. And if you're in stealth, you get a +3 to your penetration. All right. And then if you're spending experience points, if you're willing to spend 1 experience point, you get a +1. So that if you're in stealth, that 6 would become a 5. And if you spend 2 experience points, it now becomes a 4. And then the penetration becomes a 2, and then +3 would be 5. So down here, you would need to roll a 4 to hit, and then you actually get 5 to your penetration, but you have to spend 2 experience points. That's what a dirk does for you if you're stealthy. And if I go further, there's like a fine dagger. The stealth bonus is not as good hit is better. So like this one, the to hit was 9, but here it's 6. So you're already getting a 3 bonus, and then the stealth makes it even better. So the fine dagger is way better than the dirk, but it does cost more. And then there's lucky dagger in this game. There's a regular dagger. There's also a thing called a lucky dagger, and there's a keen dagger. And then here's a short sword, a lucky short sword. You need to have +2 to your hand-to-hand, but you get a +1/+1 to your stealth, and then right here you add +2/+1 for every luck you have unused. Pay 3 experience points to regain a luck. So we'll talk about luck in a second. There it is. There's the lucky dagger. So +2/+2. It hits with a 7, but you get a +2 again for every luck you have unused. All right. So why would a lucky dagger be helpful? Well, that has more to do with the halflings that I'm using. So I am using Lightfoot here in my current campaign with my friend, and you can see I have a luck 2. So I actually have 2 luck tokens. What a luck is you get to add +2 to any die roll, but then you have to spend the token. It's like a consumable. You do get them back when you rest. There's ways to get your luck points back, but the lucky dagger, what it says is that I can yeah, he actually had a lucky dagger. So as long as I keep those 2 luck equipped and I don't spend them, I get to add. So he didn't even need to roll dice. He was able to hit no matter what, as long as he was in shadows. Okay, so this was actually a very, very good at hitting thief. So I was able to get him to it took me to level 5 to be able to equip the lucky dagger, because you do need to have a +1 hand-to-hand. But I was able to get him. If you get him into shadows, which only takes a 4 dice roll if you spend an experience point, you get him in shadows, and you have 2 luck points on him, then you're getting a +4 to your attack. And that lucky dagger only needed like a 7 to begin with, and that +4 makes it go down to a +3. And then the shadows itself gives you another +2, so that means you only need to roll a 1 to hit. So I apologize. There's a lot of math to this game. I think people who don't like math aren't going to like these DVG games because there's a lot of calculations. But anyways, can we achieve that with a non-Hobbit thief? I don't think we can. So like this is the human thief, and I don't think, oh no, there it is. There's luck right there. So this human thief does have luck. They also have restrictions. Like for example, weapons and armor must be loadout 2 or minus. So there's two ways to read this. What I think it is that they can't have, so my understanding is they can't have more than 2 weight points of weapons and armor. So they can have 3 loadout of something else, but the weapons and armor have to be 2 or less. And then they can't equip a shield, which I guess is important. So at level 1, at level 2, she finally gets some luck. And then as she goes up, let's look at her level 6. She'll have 2 luck. Her pick and shadows is actually going to be excellent. I can't complain, although look at that, 31 points to level her up. That's horrible. But she's only 8 to start, so she's not bad. Let's look at Swipe here. If you use Swipe, he's a thief in a box. You want him to have movement points. Having no movement points when they don't have action cards is horrible. He eventually can get to 2, and look at that. He only costs 13 points to get to level 6. That's amazing. But at level 6, he doesn't hit unless he rolls a 10. So his to hit really stinks. But if he's in stealth, he gets +4. So that 10 becomes a 6. And his pick never gets good. He's at a 9. His shadows, it's okay. Luck of 1. He does come with advice 3 and pickpocket. And he's a follower. So he's a follower and he comes with advice. So he's meant to be like, you bring her and him together. So, and the reason that his ability to hit enemies is so low is these followers aren't meant to be really good. And so it's not meant to, like, this is your thief for your party. Because his lockpick, stinks all the way through. So here's advice. So you can have your liege gain an experience or a luck. So if you're spending luck, this is how you can get it back. So advice is not as good as the money-making one that the hobbits give you, or the halflings, I guess. And he comes with pickpocket. So let's see what pickpocket does. So during town activities, he would roll his pick roll +2. He gets to add, and he can gain wounds, but he can gain silver or gold depending on how well he rolls. He needs to surpass his pick by 3 or better. So this is why this stinks for him. So he has pickpocket. His pick is let's just say he spent an experience point. It's an 8. In order to get a gold, he would need 11 or better. He can't get an 11. And then here, he would need a 10 or better. So the pickpocket never actually becomes something worthwhile. He's trash. I don't like him. Now, one thing when you are doing a thief, there are some mundane gear items you need to really consider. And the first one is the silent boots. So they do have a loadout value of 1, but they don't affect... they cost a gold, which is a point. Add 2 to your shadow rolls. This is huge. You definitely want to get some silent boots. And you also want... there should be some lockpicks in here too. I don't know where it ended up. But these are actually not bad either because they give you 1 to your movement value. Very, very good. There we go, picks and tools. This would be the other one. This adds 2 to your pick rolls. So this would allow you to roll above a 10 if you're really trying to get your luck picking up. To go, if you want your roll to be better than a 10 for this guy. Otherwise, he's just really trash. I don't really care for Swipe, so he can go back to Dora. We don't need him. So he's out. Then we have, he's just meant to be a follower. He's not meant to be your actual rogue for the party. This one is another thief in a box, although it doesn't look like it. So this is a dual wielder. So she would come with a dual wield skill, however that works. This is a full-blown character, so just like Vex, she would have a deck of cards. And you can see here her lockpick, her shadows, her hand-to-hands, plus this is more of a hand-to-hand type of thief. So, not awful. And then this last one here is a thief in the box, Whisper. And this one's fantastic because he comes with a movement of 1, which is good. He only hits on a 9. He has a penetration of -1. He could theoretically do 2 wounds if you roll up to a 13. He gets +2 to his stealth rolls, or he gets +2 to his dice if he's in stealth. This means, you know, you're not taking any of those daggers, right? That's all he gets is +2. His lockpick is 8 and 6. Shadow is 8 and 6. He starts with 2 experience and 1 luck. And then eventually he's got great shadows and great lockpicking if you level him up. He does take 28 points though to level up. I actually like this one. If you're going to do a thief in the box, he, I think, is fantastic. He starts with a 1, and we're going to go ahead and take him. We're going to do a thief in the box here, and he'll start with 2 experience points. It only costs us 8 to get him, and the nice thing about him is we don't even have to draw daggers or anything. He's truly a thief in the box, whereas our cleric does come with equipment and stuff like that. And so we're going to go ahead and take these 2 out. Like I told you, those halfling thieves, in my opinion, are the best thieves in the game. That's the reason why I didn't choose either of these. I think the halfling ones are fantastic. And if you're playing your own game and you want to actually do more with thieves, like get those lucky daggers like I was showing you, I highly recommend that you do that. And like I said, the halflings are the way to go, if you ask me. And then take the follower too, because he gives you money. All right, so I'm being really chintzy here. Why am I doing this? Why am I doing the guys in the box? Well, first of all, they're easier to manage. And then secondly, I want to conserve my points. And so I'm going to spend my points a lot on the wizard. And I might also do it on the fighter. Let's do the fighter next. The fighter is very, very versatile. Now, one thing I forgot to tell you, the Thieves deck is very large. There's a lot of skills for the thief. There's a lot for you to go through. And there's a lot of, I know I've just used the word lot a bunch of times, but I almost said a lot of times. The thief skills, there are quite a few of them to choose from. And depending on what you're doing, they could be helpful. I don't mean to insist that they're not. Like this one lets you add to your pick and shadow rolls. I mean, that's a really helpful skill. And you don't get the skill with your thief in the box. So if you want to make thief your primary character, you can actually, maybe we do, because these back alley skills are good. But look at that, that costs 5 points. 5, folks. That's 5 gold. And then you get to add 1 to your pick and shadow rolls. And then, of course, once you do a stealth attack, you get +1/+1. I mean, this is fantastic. But you're investing a lot in your thief when you do this. You're spending a lot of points. And the thief is really not, outside of, if I didn't have to pick locks, I wouldn't pick a thief at all. That's how much I don't care for the thieves. I just told you I love my little halflings, but the thief skills, no matter how thick these cards are, I'm not interested in any of these skills. So that's just me. It's my opinion. I'm not saying that you need to share that opinion. I'm just saying that for me, it's, you know, they're not that interesting. Now, what is interesting is the fighter and the wizard. The fighter has a lot of fantastic skills, but they're expensive, meaning you eventually want them, but my gosh, it's going to be a long time before you're ever going to actually, you know, get those skills. So let's talk fighter for a second. There is the fighter Gareth here. He comes with melee speed, which means he gets an extra action. So he'll be able to do 3 actions in a turn instead of 2, but you do have to spend a card to be able to get that extra action. He also comes with 1 toughness, which means that if he takes a wound, he can just discard his toughness token, and it absorbs the wound. His movement is 0, which stinks. His cost is 13, which is high, and his 31 is also high. But it seems to be on average with the other ones we've looked at so far. He eventually does get 1 movement. His loadout of 10, I mean, he's your classic fighter. There's nothing wrong with Gareth. He does get a +1 to his hand-to-hand attacks. So if you want a nice fighter, you can't go wrong with him. So Colin here is a fighter that has no action cards. But otherwise, you're still equipping equipment on him. You have to pay for all that. He gets his +1 just like Garen does. He's cheaper than Garen, at least to start. And he comes with 1 movement point, so he's better than Garen in that regard. And he eventually gets 3 by the time he's done. He gains 3 toughness tokens, 2 penetration, and he does eventually get that melee speed skill. Colin is quite good. There's no complaints about him, other than you just don't deal with cards. This is an expansion guy, a dwarven fighter. So here you get 2 toughness, which is very good. You still get the +1 to your hand-to-hand, and but his movement, of course, is 0. You know, never toss a dwarf, right? His movement stays at 0 the whole game, but you will be drawing cards with him. His toughness becomes a 5, and then, of course, he can carry 16 loadout points worth of stuff. I think this is like your classic, you know, because he has so much toughness, he can absorb a lot of hits. And there you can see it's 31 points to max him out. Well, there's more. There's the SH. This is the fighter in a box. So he comes with leather armor, 1 toughness, and he hits with an 8. He could possibly do 2 damage because it goes up to 13. And here you can see it after 28 points, it does get better. It becomes 5 and 8. And he has 6 health. He'll have a toughness of 4 and chainmail armor. As far as fighters in a box go, he's not awful. He gets his first movement point at level 4, which is 19 points. That's pretty expensive, but he's not awful. So I think we're going to go with, we need cards. I told you the way to play this game is you need to have cards in your hand. So we're going to use 2 characters with cards, the fighter and the wizard. So I'm probably not going to go with Bartok, although he's not bad. And then there's a dwarven fighter that is similar. This one only does 1 hit. But see, he has a follower called Aid. And eventually, so this is like a follower type. And you can see 10 gold is all it takes to be level 6. He'll have leather armor, Aid 3, follower, 2 experience points, penetration 1, toughness 1. So he can potentially get some hits in, although he has no hand-to-hand bonus. You know, he hits with a 7, which is not the greatest in the world. He gets no movement bonus. I don't remember what Aid is for a fighter, so let me look that up real quick. So with the fighter, you can take a liege, and then Aid gives you toughness. So you can spend toughness points, and then he gives you toughness back. Or you can gain an action with Aid 3. So that's not bad. There's a lot of great skills in here. These are tremendous at helping you land your hits and all that stuff. So melee speed is one that lets you get an extra attack. Melee skill gives you a bonus to your rolls. Lots of good stuff in here. There's expertise, you name it. A lot of great skills. And then, like I said, we've been doing an archery build with our other guys. Not a big fan. So the fighter skills do cost more. So if you take a particular fighter, he's going to cost you a certain number of points just to get him. Then you have to equip him, and then you have to put skills on him. And so there's a lot of stuff to do there. I'm going to think about who I want to choose here. I'm leaning towards the Dwarven fighter, but Gareth is not bad at all. So let me look at the wizards. Now remember, one of our wizards is actually set aside because my buddy's using him, and he's actually a really good wizard. But we have a human wizard called Miasma, and so she is one of those ones that has no action cards, and she she's a follower, and she comes with the help skill. Now the wizards, I believe, the help skill gives you movement points, if I remember correctly. Oh. If you're in the same location, your liege gains experience, and then there should be a help 2, help 3. Here we go, help 3. They let them get focus points back. So that's what she does. She would let a wizard get focus points back. But she herself doesn't cast spells. Or maybe she does. You could buy a spell for her. Yeah, not interested. That help skill's okay. It's not great. She might be actually, yeah, I was going to say she might be decent with a battle mage, but that's not true. So then you got the Elven Wizard. This is an expansion pack one, and he's a wizard in a box. You can see here, you always can tell they're wizards in a box. I mean, it says so here, but they show you like the number of actions they have. So here he comes with Fire Hands and Minor Deflect. They're not horrible. And if he gets to level 6, you can see he has Mana +2, which is really good. Movement Point, which is good. Ice Hands, Fire Hands, Minor Deflect. Those are the 3 spells he's going to have the whole game. He's not horrible, but it costs 30 points to get him up there. Then we have a Human Wizard, which eventually gets the Mana +1, a lore of 6 or 4, Fire Hands and Minor Deflect come with her for free. You can always purchase other spells. She gets 12 focus, which is pretty decent. And then 29 points to level her up. So she starts the game with Fire Hands and Minor Deflect, which is very good. You want to be able to start the game with 1 explosive spell, because if not, you're going to have to buy it. She has 3 health to start, not bad. When does she get a Mana +1? Not until level 6. Okay, so actually my buddy has probably one of the best wizards. I think his is better than her, but she's not bad. And then you have this. This is a fire wolf called Flame. Now this is purely an expansion, and he is a wizard in a box, but he's actually a pet in a box. So what he does is he has Fire Hand spell, and here you can see he does a range strike if he were to attack normally, and it's a fire attack. So he can do a fire attack at range and just hit like a archer, if you will. Or he has the Fire Hand spell, and you can see he has 1 focus, mana 0, 2 experience points, and his hand-to-hand being fire. So you can see he has 2 spells, the Fire Hands and the Fire Blast. These are specific to him. It's the Fire Wolf. So a little bit different than the Wizard Fire Hands or Fire Blast. How much different? I couldn't tell you. I'd have to compare them side by side. And then for 31 points, the Wolf does move up. He's got good movement points, stuff like that. He would not of course, be he doesn't have action cards. So here's what I'm planning to do. Now that I've looked it over. I'm still looking, my apologies. Okay. I'm gonna choose, Cullen's actually really good. I'm gonna choose Gareth. And then the other 3 fighters are gonna go off to the side. I'm going to choose Eleanor, and we're going to take the Firewolf. So that's going to give us 3 characters there, plus Whisper the Thief and Herka the Cleric. So that's going to give us a 5-character party. All right, so the Wizard comes with Fire Hands and Minor Deflect. So, oh, these are skills, my apology. So here's Minor Deflect, and then Fire Hands here. It wouldn't hurt to get Ice Hands, because sometimes you do run into people who can't handle fire. But with that being said, that's for her. And yes, she's going to manage a deck of cards. And then this one won't manage a deck of cards. Comes with Fire Hands. Eventually, at 6th level, has the Fire Hands and the Fire Blast. But we're not going to worry about that at the moment. And then, of course, Gareth has nothing. So we would have to equip him with a sword or something. The cheapest being the old armor, old weapons. So like we can give him, like that's, see that loadout is 6, that's too heavy. But, oh, like an old short sword is 3 copper, that takes 2. If you roll 1, it breaks. An old longsword would be better, but it's a lot more expensive. And then we'd probably want some old leather armor. See, that's expensive. So we're gonna set those aside, because I'm actually willing to go in unarmed with the fighter, because I don't need the fighter to actually kill anybody. I just need him to absorb hits. And I know that sounds crazy, but that's one of the strategies I've learned with this game. So, okay, after you select your people, what do? Well, every one of them gets 2 action points. And so you take the 2 action points and set them next to everybody. And here there's 2 more. It goes on him. And then there's a Shadows token that's going to go with your Thief to indicate whether he's in Shadows or not. And then we need some more action tokens for the Rogue. And then we need some more for the Cleric. Done. Okay, so everybody's got their action tokens. We then need these swords. So character 1 is Gareth. Character 2 is the Wizard. Character 3 is the Wolf. Character 4 is Whisper. And I have a character 5 one around here somewhere. That would be the Cleric. I don't know where it went, but I know I have it. In fact, I was the 5th character, so I don't know where it went. So, meaning that my own people, when I was playing my campaign, would be on this side. I'll find it eventually. It's around here somewhere. But the 5th character is the Cleric. So what that means then is I already have this set up for 5 characters, so we don't have to change that. And then let's figure out our math now. So we started off with 50 points. So this is 13, so that makes it 40, 37. This is 10, which makes it 27. This is 8, which makes it 19. This is 8 more, which makes it 11. And this is 9 more, which makes it 2. I only have 2 points left. So that costs 1 point, and that costs 1.5 points. I could do those 2 together for the 2 points, or I could level somebody up. So for example, this fighter can go to level 2 for 2 points. I can get Flame here to level 2 for 2 points. What do I get for that? My wizard needs 3 points, so I can't level her up. Oh, we had another wizard here. Kymor. He actually looks really good. I would recommend him if you want a wizard in a box. That one looks good. All right, so holy crap, that was a lot of points. So 8, 16, 25, 35, 45, 47. Yeah. Gareth is expensive. I don't know if he's worth it. Like, one of the strategies you can do this game is you literally come in with a level 6 wizard, and he would just destroy everything, and then you can bring your other heroes in afterwards. But we're going to do it the old-fashioned way. We won't give him any armor, but we'll give him well... So as long as your weapons and armor or whatever are not damaged, you can always sell it for full price. So you never lose anything by buying something temporarily. So we could temporarily take the old armor and old short sword, and then he can always, use those later or exchange those later for better equipment. Because there is better stuff, trust me. I just don't know if it's worth it. Like I said, having him unarmed is fine in my book. You can just... his role is to absorb hits. Everybody else can do the kills. Now, there is a card here that tells you how shadow attacks work, and unarmed. So if you ever do need to do an unarmed attack, it is actually covered. DVG did think about it. Now, there is a wizard skill that is a must-have. Well, there's several wizard skills. In fact, to me, wizard is the most OP one in the game. You want a wizard more than you want anything else. There's so many wizard skills that are helpful. There's wizard skills that give you extra attacks. There's wizard skills that let you roll extra dice. They're all very good, but I'm trying to find, where did I put the wizard skill deck? I know I had it. Here we go. There is one wizard skill you do want to get early. We don't have to get it right now, although it would be nice to. And it's called storytelling, right here. It costs 4 points, so it's expensive. But during the town activity step, you gain copper coins equal to the number of adventures that have been cleared. So eventually, let's say you cleared 4 adventures, you're going to get 1 gold for that. Now, that's only 25% of what you initially put in. But then the next time is going to be 5 adventures, and you're going to get 1 gold and 1 copper. And then there's 6 adventures, and you're going to get 1 gold and 1 silver. So it adds up really fast. Right now, we've cleared 0 adventures, so you don't need this right now. But after your first adventure, I recommend you buy this, because then you're going to start gaining 1 copper, only 1 copper, which is a small pittance. But eventually you break even, and then you start making a profit off of it. This is a profit maker. So you want this to make profits. Okay, so what else is there? There are, if you have explosion, like this one costs 3. You may reroll any 2 or 3 or 3 dice of a fire mana attack spell. But if you attack with spells that are not fire, they cost 1 additional focus. So this is like you're going all in on fire attacks. It's a good one. This one, of course, you're going all in on ice attacks. This one, pay 2 experience points when casting a fire spell to remove the fire keyword and replace it with ice. That is an amazing one, but it costs 4. I mean, there's so many good ones in here. And then at the end here, this one lets you get an extra action, and then this one gives you 1 extra die for explosion rolls. That's the one you really want. And see, that costs 2. So I am going to go in unarmed. I'm going to go in unarmed, and I'm going to buy this skill for my wizard. Because that's better than giving my fighter some sword and armor that can break. I know that sounds crazy, but trust me on this. It works. And you're gonna be grateful for adding this to your strategy pool. There was a guy who went nuts on me on Facebook. That he thought that I had horrible strategies, had never played the game, and I'm just trashing DVG. I will tell you, the rulebook sucks. I've covered so many DVG games on this channel. I am a DVG fan. I think Kevin and Dan Burson are really nice guys. I don't know why they make such simple mistakes sometimes. Dean Brown is awesome. I know he's not technically a DVG employee, but he designs games for them. There's so many great guys there. I am by no means, hell-bent on trashing these guys, but they really screw up their rule books, and I don't know why. To me, it's such a simple concept. All you have to do is sit down and play the game and pretend like, what if I didn't know how to play this game? Would this be helpful to me? Yes or no? And the answer is no. It's a simple no. Anyways, let's get into it. So, last thing we need to do is we have to set up our adventure. So, like I said, it's going to take 2 nuisance, 3 common, 2 renowned, 1 legendary, 1 mythical. So what does that mean? Well, this game comes with 3 towns that are nuisance. So we're going to pick 2 of them. Now, I'm going to show you the one that we didn't pick. It's not going to matter. It's not like it gives me some insight. Every town is different, and it's going to have its own little flavor, and then it has its own adventure that goes with it. And in fact, I don't know what adventure goes with Dan Brook. I know that my buddy and I did this one, but I don't remember it. So this one's out of the game. Then we're going to pick some common towns. We get 3 of them. There's 4 of them here. So we're just going to pick 1 to be out, and then these 3 are in. So they go underneath, right? So next one, we're going to pick 2 renowned. There are 4 renowned towns, so we're going to take out 2 of them, and then the other 2 go underneath. And then we're going to do a legendary. There's 2 legendaries. We're going to pick 1, goes underneath, and there's only ever 1 mythical. So there you go. This is your town deck. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 9 adventures in a campaign. And lo and behold, 2 plus 3 is 5, plus 2 is 7, plus 1 plus 1. There's 9 adventures. So you build your town deck exactly like that. The town deck will dictate what the adventure is going to be and all that other stuff. So I like to put the town deck right here. And then we're going to go ahead and reveal the first one. So the first town is Thornkeep. So what we do is we put the town here over on the left. We take this token and we find Thornkeep on the map. And it's up here on the right, and that's where we're located right now. Eventually, when we clear it, we're going to put a cleared symbol to show that we cleared Thornkeep. And so this campaign board can go back up here in the corner. This is a baby you can sit in the corner. So that'll go up there. And then we have Thornkeep. And then what we have to do next is we have to go through what is our adventures. So I have all of our adventures and objectives all in one deck. But here you can see the nuisance ones are on top. And that's on purpose. You definitely want to keep them together. So here's the nuisance ones. And so we're going to Thornkeep is the town. So right here you can see Thorn Graveyard goes with Thornkeep. So that's the adventure. So that's the first thing you want to find. You want to find the adventure. Then on the adventure card it says that the objective is the Flame Grotto and Gritmore. So if you go through these, there's Gritmore. So that's going to be the boss we're going to fight. And there's Flame Grotto. That's going to be the location of the objective. So those are the 3 cards that come with that town. And you can sort these by the town if you'd like. Like, you know, that's the town of Danbrook. And, oh, that's the crypts that go with Danbrook. Like, you know those 2 go together. And you know that that Agon is the boss, which is this guy. So I can already tell you these 3 go together. And then without even looking, these 3 go together, right? So you can sort them that way. That's your call. However you would like to do it. I just keep them all in one pile. And then, of course, you know, as long as I'm doing nuisance adventures, I grab those. And then the commons are next and so forth. But you definitely need these cards. You want them at least sorted in at least minimally this much, because that is how you're going to be pulling them. You pull them all together, and it's nice to keep them all. Like, one deck is fine. You can keep them in separate. It's your call. But definitely have them organized because it will save you a lot of time. All right, I'm going to set these off to the side. I'm just making room over here because with us going through all these hero characters, I took up a lot of table space. Also, gonna get rid of Ra and Kali the Vengeful. Get them out of the way. And now we got ourselves some breathing room here on the table. Okay, so the objective for Thornkeep and the monster. So here's the next thing. The adventure goes here, okay? But before we put it down, we're gonna get 4 points or 4 gold at the end of the adventure. There's gonna be 2 nuisance locations in the adventure. So this is nuisance, common, renowned, legendary. It makes sense. You're doing a nuisance adventure. You're not gonna be dealing with higher level monsters. Ignore this. This is only if you're playing this as a standalone mission. The timer is 6. So what you do with this is you take there's a timer token, which is a torch. And I don't know where it went. I just had it. Holy cow. That's 2 tokens now I'm missing. There is a timer token that is literally a torch. Oh, look at that. I feel something underneath here. All right, so here's the timer token. That goes on the 6. I'm wondering if I'm got another piece underneath somehow. Okay. So that period of torches all along the corner there represents the timer. Now this is not like your typical game. When time runs out, you don't lose the mission. But what happens is this monster starts spawning into the dungeon. So it's going to get progressively worse until the point where maybe you aren't going to be able to handle them. So that's the thing to understand. And those monsters are called guards. So out is that the objective location is the grotto and Gritmore is the boss. We got that figured out already, okay? So the other thing to understand is there's 2 locations that are going to be nuisance. So what I do is you put the adventure here, and there's going to be 1, 2 nuisance locations, grotto, and you put it in the 3rd. That is the bookends. So this is the start of the mission. That's the end of the mission. You're not going to go all the way to the end. This how long the mission is. If this was 2, 1, 1, 1, then you would go 2, 3, 4, 5 locations before you'd find the objective. Okay. Now Gritmore is just a boss that is in the Flame Grotto. So we're going to just put him up there, but the whole objective is inactive. It stays inactive until somebody actually moves into that location. So even though Gripmore the boss is there, he ignores you. He doesn't do anything with you until you move to that location. In fact, the bosses never leave their location. I don't think there's any situation where they do. One last thing we've got to do is on the other side of the boss card, you can see he's embedded, which means he doesn't move. Immobile, again. His minion is Cave Sturges, which is a nuisance. That's what the N stands for. It's a nuisance monster. And then a guard is 2 more. So he and the minion are already there. So that was a mistake we made in our first game I played. I forgot to realize that he has a minion with him. So what you have to do is you have to grab the Nuisance Hostile deck and find the Sturges. It'll be in here somewhere. All the way at the top, isn't it? There we go, Cave Sturges. So here you go. So this particular minion is also with him. So we'll put that up there as well. And those two are also active. They're not going to chase you down. They're not going to do anything crazy. You just know what you're going to be facing at the end, if that makes sense. Okay. Now, over here along the right, I have nuisance hostiles and nuisance locations, and you're going to shuffle them. Common, common, renowned, renowned, legendary, legendary. Okay, you're going to shuffle everything up and make sure that that these cards are ready to go. So we're going to be drawing location cards, and we're going to be, of course, drawing monster nuisance cards, and that's why you need to have them shuffled and off to the side. Okay, all of our adventures 1 through 5 you can see are represented by these. So all of us start here on the Thorn Graveyard. Before we do that though, we have to resolve the town. We can hire a local guide. We roll lore +3 to gain 2 torches. So the lore is your wizard. So the wizard here has a lore of 10, or you can spend an experience point to make it 8. And they add 3 to the die according to the card, so that becomes a 7 or a 5. And you also have lore with the Firewolf. Oh no, he doesn't have lore. I apologize. But you could possibly have more than one wizard, and it is my understanding that every wizard gets to take a crack at it. So if I'm wrong, you can correct me, but it is my understanding that every wizard gets the chance to do the roll. Now, our heroes, this one starts with 1 toughness. So there is this thing called a toughness token, which is here. And so I'm going to go ahead and put him on there so he has 1 toughness. He can deflect a wound, basically. These start with focus. So he starts with 2 focus. So the focus tokens look like this. So I'm going to give him 2 of those. He starts with 1 focus. So I'm going to give him 1 of those. And then he starts with 2 experience points. So the experience points are represented here. So we get 2 experience points. Now I'm going to put them up here because experience points, even though they are earned by individuals, they can be used by the party. So you're playing a solitaire game. I surely hope you're not going to be conflicted with sharing experience points. But if Gareth needs to use an experience point, and Flame has them, Flame can spend the point to give to Gareth, okay? So it's really a party resource, if you think about it. So we're just going to put it up here because that's for the party. And if I go down to Whisper the Thief, he also starts with 2 experience points. So it's the same situation. So we got 2 more. And then we keep going down to Herka, the Cleric, she starts with 1. So we actually start the game with 5 experience points. So I could choose to spend 1 to get 2 torches, or to try to pass this. But I'm going to go ahead and roll. I need a 7 or better, and I rolled a 9. So I actually succeeded. So we got 2 torches out of the deal, which is fantastic. So here we go. That's represented by this. And torches reduce the movement cost to enter rooms, things like that, or you can spend them on other things. That is also basically a party resource. I do think there are torches in here. This is the first time I've ever actually gotten a torch. So, yeah, so see, we got 2 torches here. Each hero that is not a player hero may equip 4 of these. Expend to permanently reduce an adjacent interior or night location's entrance cost by 1. Yeah, that's pretty normal. So, so we got these torches. They have a loadout of 1. Plenty of characters can carry them, so I'm not worried about that. One last thing you would need to do before you actually get started. This is the item deck, which is the rewards. It is a very large deck. DVG will allow you to select what items you want as rewards. Oh, there it is right there. It fell out. I was looking for that. They will allow you to select as a reward. So like let's say you kill a monster and you win 1 gem's worth of items. You would draw this card and then you get that speed potion, for example. You can go through the deck and take out the ones you don't like or don't need or don't want. But you must have a minimum of 20 cards in this deck. And if you ever, like for example, get a reward of 5, like this, and you don't have any items left in your deck or whatever, that's your fault for making too narrow of a deck. But if you win a reward of 1 and this is the only thing left in your deck, you also can't take this, because this is a high-end item. Right there, a Fire Lance Wand, I can see that. That's a high-end item, and you must have an enemy that drops a 5-value item in order to even be able to get this. Now, one rule I don't like is for example, if an enemy drops a 5-level item, and this is the card on top, you have to take this, and now you got a 4, and then this becomes 2, and then I can't get this anymore. So I lose that one, and then this becomes 1, and then I lose, and then eventually, so now I got 5 items worth of prizes. See that? I don't like that rule. I really don't. But the rules as written indicates that. The NAM rules don't really explain anything. The rules as written are unreliable. So my buddy and I have been playing where if you get a level 4 item, we draw until we find a level 4 item. Because why would we want anything less? I don't, like if I'm winning a level 4 item because I just defeated a high-end boss, I don't want 4 level 1 items. I want 1 level 4 item, okay? So that's a rule that we play by. And like I said, if you read the rules as written, it's gonna not seem to be that way. It's gonna be like you just pull until you get 5 points. And I just think it's dumb. I don't even see the value, or it makes no sense to me. Because you're gonna always have that situation where, you're trying to get that high-end item and you finally kill a boss that lets you get a high-end item, and now you got to go through a deck of 1s and 2s to get there, and oh, by the way, they're dwindling your points, and now by the time you find that level 4 item, oh, sorry, you can't afford it anymore. I mean, that's a bunch of crap. So anyways, I'm sorry I'm interjecting my own house rule there, but like I said, the rulebook is completely unreliable. I don't think you can trust it. And so that's my recommendation to you. So I have the entire deck of cards here. As you can see, that's way more than 20. So if you want to take the time, you can narrow it down. I don't want to do that on the video. I might do that in between the video. Clearly, some of these items, you're going to look at them and you're going to be like, that's trash. I don't want to ever get an item like that. But here's the only thing I can give you as a consolation. So like this volcanic ruby, which is on the bottom, is a perfect example. We don't like this because it's a thrown item and it's expend, meaning as soon as you throw it, it's gone. You don't ever get to use it ever again. It's a one-time use thing. And these are horrible items. However, what we realize though is you can sell them and they sell for 3 gold. 3 gold is, I mean, this entire adventure is only going to pay us 4 gold. So if I get this item for 3, and look at this, it's a level 3 item, but 3 gold is fantastic. And look at that one. That one's 6 gold. What level item is that one? Oh gosh, that's a level 6. Yeah, and this one's a 5 gold. Is that a level 5? Yeah. So I think the number of gold dictates like what level it is. And that's probably why DVG doesn't care. Like if you draw 4 level 1s, they're going to sell for 4 gold. Whereas you draw 1 level 4, that also sells for 4 gold. I can understand why DVG came up with that rule. But the whole point of getting items is you're supposed to like, you know, make your party better. But anyways, even though this item stinks, it does have a really good gold value. So sometimes maybe you want to keep the item in your deck. But for now, we got this massive, and yes, sometimes you're going to see on the bottom that it's got a particular scenario. I sort of mixed them in already, but you'll see like the worm, like Leech's Halls. That is all expansion stuff, but you can mix it all in. There's no harm. Okay, do we have what we need to get started? I think we do. So you go through and grab your starting experience. We got our torches. This character and this character both have hands of 6 cards. So we got to take our action cards and shuffle them up. And they're each going to draw a hand of 6. There is, in the original Warfighter rules, you're not going to see it anywhere in this game. But in like Warfighter Modern or World War II, you're going to see that if you don't draw a location card, you get to like basically mulligan and draw 6 new cards. If nobody drew a location card. Because location cards are needed in order to get started. I didn't see that anywhere in this rule book, but it's a general Warfighter rule that I have no reason to believe doesn't exist for this game. So again, like I said, the rulebook stinks. It doesn't even tell you what's considered a general rule that's applied to all Warfighter games. But anyways, and I'll show you what I mean by a location card because we're going to be drawing right now. So for Gareth here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then for Eleanor, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So they both draw their hand size. I'm going to put the deck of cards over to the side here. Let's look at Gareth's first. Gareth, what you're looking for is those location cards. So he has one, so there's no mulligan needed. And in fact, he has 2. So he's sitting with 2. Then we got other cards that do various things, and we'll get into those later. But the thing we're looking for now is location. So we don't need to do a mulligan. And even if she has 0 location cards, which is the case, she doesn't get to draw new ones. This one is an amazing one. You always want these. This is an expansion pack card. I would buy the expansion just for this card. That's my recommendation. It looks like it comes part of the Halfling deck. So, and you're going to see that card very soon here. Okay, so now we're ready to actually start the adventure. We are on, oh, one more thing. I forgot, there's always one more thing, right? The game comes with a nation guide, Plumeria, and we started in the town of Thornkeep. So Thornkeep being right here, there's some flavor text, and I understand there's some glare, my apologies. Pause your screen, read that. Pause your screen, read that. The only thing that I care about is right here. While in town, if you pay a local 1 silver, they will show you a faster path through the graveyard, and you can add 1 turn to the overall time. I don't believe we have any money at all. We spent 50 to the letter. We are starting with 0 money, so we can't afford to buy the guide. So our timer is what the timer is. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and end the video here. We're going to start turn 1, round 1 when we get back, and I'm ready. Let's do this. Thanks for watching. Stay awesome.